Welcome to the Business Growth Masterclass, where business growth is made simple. I'm your host, Albert Gillespie.
And I'm your co-host, Kellen Ketchersid. Join us as we bring you stories from business leaders so you can learn from their wins, their losses, and everything in between.
Today's guest is the CEO of the Reese Technology Center, a research and business park located on the grounds of the former Reese Air Force Base, just west of Lubbock, Texas. Welcome to the podcast, Mrs. Murvat Musa.
Thank you. It's a privilege and a pleasure to be here.
I'm excited. So tell me about the Reese Technology Center. What do you guys do?
Reese was the former Reese Air Force Base. And so I don't know if you were here at that time, but the Air Force closed the base. That was in 1997.
Okay.
And the property was turned over to the state of Texas. And the state of Texas created a political subdivision, sort of like a city is a political subdivision. And the purpose was to repurpose the assets of the former Air Force Base. And basically, we've turned it into a business park. So research and development and manufacturing and education and all kinds of things go on there. And we manage the property. Reese Technology Center is our doing business as, or we have a legal entity name. And so we've been doing that since 1997.
Wow. Oh, so what kind of research goes on there?
A lot of R&D in tech specifically has renewable energy research. So they've got wind turbines and solar panels and those types of things. They also created a microgrid for cybersecurity testing and that type of stuff. And then we've got some private companies that do R&D in aerospace and some that do it in chemical manufacturing and there's some physics R&D. So just a kind of a mesh of a lot of different types of research and development programs that are not always, but sometimes funded through federal grant programs.
So business park, there's 1,000 different flavors of business park. Your specific park might have some unique features. You know, it's on an old Air Force base. You have a runway, you have a lot of different attributes that attract a different kind of tenant, business. And so is that what y'all have always done?
Well, I mean, I would like to say that we were intentional on where we are today, but we've had to kind of grow into ourselves, if that makes sense. You know, we're a political subdivision of the state, so it sounds like we're a governmental entity, but we don't have taxing authority and we don't receive funds from the state. So everything we make is like every private entity. It's through revenues that we generate ourselves, mostly through lease revenues. And back in the day when we got handed all these assets, like we own the roads, we own the water, we own the wastewater, we act and kind of feel like a city with no citizens and no tax base. So we've had to do some things probably in the past that we wouldn't do today and, just to make money. But I would say over about the last 12 or 15 years, we've really started to define ourselves as to what kind of business park we want to be, what kind of customers. We don't call them tenants, we call them customers. And kind of really who we want on the property and what kind of entities we want operating on the property, because we have to make sure they're in harmony with each other. They have to share sometimes space, especially the airfield. It's a very important asset, and we have to manage it tightly for the use of our customers. So we've been in a position, because we've made some money over the years, not a lot of money, but money where we can just say, we don't want that kind of customer located here. It doesn't really fit in with the rest of the property. So really that's only happened in the last decade or so. But we've kind of whittled ourselves down to, we want research and development of a lot of different kind. We've only recently in the last couple of years really started developing the airfield. And so we've gotten into a lot of aerospace industries, and we're going to be doing that full force in the next couple of years. And we also have the educational component because Texas Tech and South Plains College both own and operate campuses on the property. South Plains College has their allied health programs there. Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing. Before they created Reese, or at the time they were creating us, the universities needed some property out there, and so the state gave it to them. And so they own some of their property there, and then we own the rest of it. So we have to work together really, really well, and we've got a great partnership with both. So we've got the educational component. Then we have companies that want to do manufacturing out there. It's a great place to do manufacturing. And so we have that going on. And technology, we also own and operate a data center. And so we have a lot of technology companies that are located out there in the data center. And so we've kind of defined ourselves over the years just because we're in a position where we can turn some things down, and we don't have to be, available to everybody who wants to just go out there and do something like, the Porsche Club who wants to
Right.
fly down the runway.
Yeah. Okay. That is fascinating. So really strategic and intentional with the growth and the vision and what the Reese Technology Center is going to look like in the future. I want to get into a handful of those, from the data center to aerospace. We'll get to that. What did it look like at the beginning? So when did you come in, and what did it look like early on?
Well, I moved to Lubbock in 1998, so that was a year after the base closed. And I really didn't have a sense for the fact that there was an Air Force base here. Like, I didn't have that cultural sense because I wasn't here at the time. And so what it looked like before were all these huge assets, some huge hangars, big buildings, lots of housing, not just regular houses, but also the barracks. And they were all empty. There were very few actually customers located at Reese early on. That's why I'm saying it was kind of, they took business, they took whatever they could get to make money, to make, they had payroll, they had to pay people.
Yeah.
And it's a huge property. It's over 2,000 acres.
Okay.
It's a lot to maintain. There are 72 buildings. There's over 1 million square feet of space.
Wow.
So it's a lot to maintain with very little or no money. So, the perception was that there's nothing out there. People always said, oh, there's nothing out there. Or if they knew anything about it, they thought it was South Plains College. So when I got there 10 years ago, and we were in pretty good shape 10 years ago, we were at that junction where we were able to really define ourselves and move forward intentionally, as you stated. But when I got there 10 years ago and I told people I worked at Reese, they always asked, what do you teach? Oh, you teach for South Plains College? I'm like, no, because South Plains College had such a hold, at Reese. Like, they had all the arts and science was located there before they moved to, I call Old City Hall. And that's a great thing that they had a huge presence there. But people always conflated that Reese was just South Plains College. And the truth is, there are over 20 private companies that are located out there and do business out there.
I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah. So I, what they say, if you don't tell your story, somebody else is going to tell it.
Yeah.
So we've tried to tell our story as much as we can. And we try to do that through social media. We try to do that through our website and just our presence. And also I do a lot of speaking engagements. So I try to let people know what's going on out there. So we're trying to change that narrative. But
So who are the first handful of customers that started leasing and renting spaces out there?
Well, the first actual lease customer that we had is still there.
Okay.
And it was, at that time, it was called West Tex Documents, and it was a document storage and shredding and, security company and document security. And they got bought out by a rather large organization, VRC Corporation. I think they're in Memphis, Tennessee, or Knoxville, Tennessee, somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I think Knoxville. And they're still there. And I always love to tell that story. And they were the first customer in the 90s, and they're still there.
Okay.
And so that's exciting. We've got a lot of long-term customers like that. Now, COVID hurt a lot of our customer base, and we worked as well as we could to keep them afloat, and we did everything we could to help them. But sometimes bad things happen, and it's out of your control. But also, some opportunities occurred during that period, so we've been able to get a lot of things done during the COVID period, which kind of sounds weird, but it really was. There was some opportunities that opened up. Another very large and long-term customer of ours is KBR. KBR is the old Kellogg Brown and Root from Houston, Texas. And
Okay. What do they do?
well, they're a huge professional services organization. I think they're $7-8 billion, and they have 50,000 employees worldwide. I mean, they're huge. But what happened, the way we got KBR was they purchased one of our customers, and they are in the defense industry. And this particular program that operates at Reese, that not a lot of people know about, and a lot of that's by design. They have a Navy contract that's a classified contract, and they do sensing technology for the U.S. Navy, and they test that technology at Reese. And they've been there 15 years doing that and other types of things. And so, and interestingly enough, before KBR and its predecessors were there doing that, we were doing that directly with the Navy, with the Naval Air Systems Command back before 15 years ago. So, longtime customer there. And then we've got a whole host of private labs like biology labs, chemistry labs, and physics labs. We also have a pretty good sized chemical manufacturing customer that we just signed about 1.5 years ago that I'm very proud of. They're trying to onshore things from China and other countries where we don't have access to readily available access to certain chemicals, and these would include industrial chemicals, agricultural chemicals, things like that are vital to specifically West Texas. I mean, we're sitting in the heart of agriculture, and when I say industrial chemicals, I mean for the oil and gas industry. So this is a great location for them.
Yeah, I guess I never think about, you think of the big government contracting like the Lockheed Martin and Bell Helicopter and Boeing and all of those. And obviously they have giant manufacturing facilities all over the world. Mm-hmm. But any smaller than that, you kind of have to have a particular space to be able to develop your products, test your products. Mm-hmm. And they're, these abandoned or these decommissioned bases across the U.S. Like they have a use. There's a lot of assets. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of money. You said 72 buildings. I mean, that's a lot of concrete. That's a lot of bricks and sticks, and figuring out a creative use for that is interesting. So tell me more about, I'm curious about the political instruments to make that viable. It was federal assets, and then that was gifted to the city of Reese, or how did that happen? Yeah. How do you get up and going?
I like that, the city of Reese. Okay, so the federal government, obviously they DOD closed the base, so now they have this property that they own. They have to do something with it, and they're not going to own and operate it, and they're obviously abandoning it. So they generally, what happens during what we call the BRAC process, which is the base realignment and closure process. That is the government process to close bases. Mm. And there are several rounds of BRAC. There was one in the late 90s. Reese was in the 2005 round. I'm sorry, not 2005, because we closed in 97. So the 1995 round of BRAC, which closed us in 97. Then there was a round in 2005. I think there was a round in the early 90s. Generally what happens is they tell the state, we're giving you this, or we're going to sell it to you. Well, no, we're not going to give it to you. We're going to sell it to you. Good try. And the states obviously are not going to be the ones that own and operate it. And the typical thing to do is to ask the city or the county with which the property is located if they want the property. And in this case, the city declined, the county declined, but the city and the county were instrumental in creating the actual political subdivision, which is called the Lubbock Reese Redevelopment Authority. That's our legal name. And they worked together with, at that time, it was Representative Bob Duncan. I don't think he was senator yet. And the other elected officials in the region to write the legislation to create this political subdivision, LRRA. And so they created this political subdivision. The city and the county appointed people to the board to start it all up, and said good luck, and there's no money involved. So that's always fabulous. I like to say we're quasi-governmental, right? Because we have the governance side of us, and we look and feel like a city.
Yeah.
But we don't have the public funds. So
Okay. Yeah.
it's challenging.
Like just an act of Congress to decommission these bases and gift them
Pretty much.
to whomever will take them and take care of them.
They literally wanted us to pay for them. And it was, I don't know, I don't remember the number, but it was north of $10 million. I don't remember what it was. And we were like, well, we don't have any money. And we haven't generated any yet. And we had a payment plan. They ended up forgiving the debt, but they always want to get something for what they think are fantastic assets, right? Oh, we're giving you all this. You should pay for it. Okay. I don't know if you know this, but Reese Air Force Base started in 1942.
Yeah.
So some of those assets are really, really
She's an old girl.
Yes. The hangars date back to the 50s, the water system, the wastewater system. I mean, the roads, just taking care of roads. These are things that business parks don't usually have to manage, you know, but we do. So it's a really unique thing. And if you juxtapose us to like the base in San Antonio, which is called Port San Antonio, which was the former Kelly, is that right?
Kelly Air Force Base.
Was it the former Kelly or Kim?
I
don't remember. But it was the former something base. It's located inside the city of San Antonio. So it's got a lot of city support. So the city manages their critical infrastructure, and they do generate their own operating revenues, and they do, put money back into it, but they don't have to worry about who's going to take care of the roads and the water and the wastewater and those types of things. So Reese is not in that situation. And there are a lot, but I'm not going to complain because we're actually very, very fortunate, because unlike some other BRAC bases in the US that were literally 100 miles away from the nearest city, we've got, Lubbock 5 minutes away. I mean, the Lubbock city limits is right on my front doors, practically.
Yeah.
So we're very fortunate in that. And there was a lot of support by city officials, elected officials, and the community in general to keep the base alive, which obviously didn't happen, but also to ensure the success of Reese. So there was a lot of support to do that, but not a lot of money.
Okay. And just big picture here. I'm just, some of the themes is for business owners, sometimes there's opportunity in government, whether it's decommissioned assets, whether it's a new policy, whether it's opportunity zones, whatever. They're learning to operate within new policy, new efforts within the government. There are business opportunities there. And initially, a lot of the customers that you were bringing on might not have been the strategic fit 15, 20 years later, but you had to make some money. You got to get some income. You got to have some cash to keep the doors open, to keep food on the table. And then years later, then you can begin to pursue this strategic vision that you guys have for this space and these unique assets that, were a big opportunity in a Air Force base being decommissioned. So there's a lot of opportunity there. Can you walk me through, you guys are trying to be strategic at this point. How do you go and find those tenants, those customers, those customers? How do you go and find those that fit what your strategic vision looks like?
Well, we have a presence online. I mean, mostly through LoopNet and CoStar for like pure commercial real estate, purposes. We have a presence online. We vet people very, very well that come to us that are just they find us on LoopNet, CoStar, and they just come to us. We vet them very well to make sure they fit within the scope of what we're trying to design. But the biggest way we grow is really organically and internally. So we have a customer that's located and other people want to be near them because they have some synergy in their business and they want to do business with them, or they want to be near them, or they do kind of the same thing. So we have a lot of organic growth. We have a lot of just natural internal growth that's being spurred by the current customer. And then we get a lot of calls off of LoopNet and CoStar and those types of platforms. And sometimes just from our website. Got a pretty good website.
Okay, so the customer that you're talking about, like what industry? What do they do?
People who just cold call us, or what? Which one?
You're talking about the customer that other people that move in. Like what is that core business that other people want to be adjacent to?
Yeah, usually it's something R&D related, where they're taking that research and they're commercializing it, and they're taking it out of the lab and they're actually commercializing it or manufacturing it or producing it. And one of the best partners that we have in that is Texas Tech, because they have the hub that's located there, and they also have lots of labs and lots of IP and lots of researchers.
The Innovation Hub?
Yeah.
Off of 4th Street?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And just the university in general.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of researchers from the university who, either need place to do something, to take it off the paper, take it out of the lab, and to be able to test it or commercialize it. And so we get quite a bit of that. That's a lot. That's a bit of our growth is being able to spread out. And I think that's the problem that they have, is that they're stuck in a lab and they can't get to the next step that way. So we get a lot of growth that way. They start out, like I said, some type of research, then they need to commercialize it. And Reese is a really good pace for that. We also have the opposite. So we've got the chemical manufacturing facility, and now we have R&D people who want to partner with them, and they want to locate at Reese because they want to work with them to develop better products and different products. So sometimes it goes the other way around, but either way, someone's always looking to do business with somebody somewhere, right? And this is just not stuff that you see. This is primary kind of work. It's not like, retail and restaurants and that kind of stuff. So it's not as in your face as you would, there's not like storefronts and those types of things. So
yeah, that's just the ecosystem that you're describing of, maybe this hub business that all these others, maybe it's a windmill manufacturing business. And so there's all these different parts in that supply chain that if I'm a mom and pop, or if I'm, this young fledgling company looking to grow, going and officing right next to manufacturing, right next to my end customer, that's a competitive advantage, and you can kind of get in there. And I'm curious, with it being technically outside of the city limits, do you get some of those heavier use customers that are, the chemical manufacturing, the aerospace companies? Is that because you were out of the city limits?
Well, it's definitely a positive.
Yeah.
And, we don't have zoning. County doesn't have zoning. I'm the permitting office. So it's definitely, you don't have the city tax. So it's definitely an advantage, and it's an advantage that we sell. And it's an advantage that people are very conscious and aware of. They don't want to go through the city to change zoning, and they don't want to go through the city to get permitting. I don't know what the waits are for that stuff, but I imagine it takes time.
It's a pain in the rear.
Yeah, I've never gone through it, but I imagine it's not fun. And so they love the fact that they don't have to do that, but they're right there. The city's right there, 10 minutes away. So that has been an absolute advantage for us. I think the other thing that we didn't talk about is workforce development. So we also have this opportunity when we bring these industries in, and another partnership that we developed specifically with South Plains College is they might come in, especially like aerospace. this area is not known for aerospace, right? We don't have like an aerospace cluster, economic cluster in this area. Um, but we can partner with South Plains College and grow that company through workforce development programs. And they're willing to come in and listen to our customer who says, I have this particular need. I need this type of person. Like I need
Yes.
this
Yes.
type of educational, educational thing. And they'll design and develop a program specifically for them. And so that's one of the nice things of having that South Plains College connection and relationship. So there's growth on multiple levels, and we're bringing in people on different types of levels for the region. I mean, our goal is economic development, which means job creation
Hmm.
and private investment. And so there's a multitude of ways to do that. And I think the workforce development component is really critical for this region.
Yeah, that's the beauty of Lubbock is there's multiple universities from Texas Tech
Mhm.
to Lubbock Christian to South Plains to Wayland Baptist. There are several universities right here
Mhm.
that are Texas Tech is more institutional state program, but some of the smaller ones are scrappy.
Yeah.
And if you are, and that's a great example. If you are this primary job creator,
Mhm.
not the service company, if you're looking that you need a specific skill set, finding an area where you can have people with that skill set to grow your business is a challenge.
Mhm.
And that's something that's a tool in your tool belt for the business owners listening. If you're a plumbing company and the average age of the plumber is 57 years old, master plumber is 57 years old, finding people that want to do that job is hard.
Yeah.
Finding guys that aren't, ex-convicts that you bring on all the liability, that's hard. But if you were to go and develop a relationship with a trade school or a community college that is training guys to enter the workforce and be able to give them good jobs and develop a relationship there, like that's a completely different, tool in your business to grow your workforce and grow your team. And then on a completely different level is aerospace engineering or windmill manufacturing, completely different specialized skill set. And so finding that education partner is really cool and strategic. And
Yeah, it's an exciting part of what I do. I love the collaboration opportunities and connecting organizations together to be able to create things like that. I'll give you another great example. One of our customers is Sandia National Labs,
yeah,
and they're
I heard of them.
Yeah, they're a DOE lab, Department of Energy lab, and they've created a site out at Reese called Swift, which is a scaled wind farm. So they're shorter wind turbines. Well, when the natural life of kind of that project was coming to an end, they were thinking about how we're going to repurpose this, how we're going to reuse this site. So they're partnering with private industries to provide training opportunities on those smaller wind turbines that have all the same components as large wind turbines have, from what I understand. I don't want the wind turbine people coming after me because I'm not a wind turbine expert, but my understanding is so they're training workforce in that industry on their scaled wind turbines at Reese. And I think that's a great reuse of those assets. It's better than, tearing them down and not realizing the full value of them. So that's another great thing is you can get creative. You can, if we just stop thinking in a linear way, we can really get creative on what we can do. And one thing that we can do as an organization for our customers is to support that creativity and to help them see it to fruition.
How do you do that?
Well, we move at their speed, which, large governmental bureaucratic organizations cannot do, but we can because we're a very small organization. We don't have a big bureaucracy. And we have a very supportive board that I work for, and they understand that I need to be able to do what I do swiftly, and they let me do my job, which I appreciate very much. So we are very, very customer focused. We are in touch with our customers every single day. We are located on the property with them. That's why I said earlier, I don't like to use the word landlord. Like landlord is such a transactional term. And yeah, at the end of the day, in a lease agreement, we are the landlord, right? That's a legal term. But in a relationship, we want to be more of a partner. We feel like obviously the success of the organizations at Reese dictate our success. And we want to make sure they're as successful as they can be. And we want to remove roadblocks for them if we can.
Yeah, practically describe that. Like, what roadblocks do you like? What are you guys doing to support them? Can you give any details there?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you a little bit. I mean, so if they have a problem with a federal agency, for instance, trying to get a license, we'll contact our elected officials and help, maybe push that along, especially for companies that need, EDA approval, those types of things. And then we'll also help them with, a lot of times they might have a specific energy request, energy need. And so we're not in ERCOT, we're on South Plains Electric Co-op, who they are fantastic to work with. And if they have a particular energy need, then we will connect them with South Plains Electric Co-op. And if they need to build out something else on the property, we'll work with them on building that out just to get them what they need. Same goes with Atmos. We have one customer that's a big gas user. And so we work with them on building out maybe some infrastructure to accommodate a new customer or accommodate a growing customer. They might have particular water needs. So there's lots of things that we can do to help that we don't want them to see as a roadblock. If they get stuck on something, we want them to contact us and say, hey, I'm stuck. The reality is sometimes we can't solve their problem. We might be able to give them some advice or an opinion, but sometimes we always can't solve their problem. But where we can, we'll intervene and we'll help out.
Okay, tell me about what is the future vision of Reese Technology Center? Like, what is that strategic, grand vision that you guys are building towards?
We have a very grand vision. I can't share a whole lot of it with you right now.
Okay.
Because we have not made an announcement, but it involves Texas Tech University, and it involves a long-term, more collaborative relationship with Texas Tech. We just finished a legislative session. We had our enabling legislation changed so that our relationship with Texas Tech is inside that new legislation, how we're going to work together. And so, and there's, a pretty good amount of money involved in that, and a very strategic plan to create a robust research site and testing site for Texas Tech University at Reese.
Cool.
So we're working on that, and hopefully there'll be an announcement sometime this summer, and I'll know what that looks like also later this summer. It's a big project. So
okay, so let me rephrase what you said. So the future is being a strategic partner with a major university to help commercialize a lot of their research that they're doing in various different parts of the college.
I think it's multi-level, but commercialization is definitely one. But it's also allowing for a place for expanded R&D, allowing for a place to test things. So we can blow things up at Reese, but you can't do that on the beautiful Texas Tech University campus, right?
Yes.
That's what Reese is for.
Yeah.
And we don't want their research being held back. And so they need things that we can provide. And really, this is great. This is a very great thing for Reese, because Reese also needs a future, right? And we could continue on down the road the way we've been. We're doing a great job. We're making good money. All the money we make goes back into the property. We reinvest it right back into the property. And we're doing well. And we've been doing well for, like I said, the last decade or so. And we could continue to do that. But we're also limited because we're limited because we have these unique assets that are very hard to repurpose.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah, a military base with barracks
yeah.
and huge hangars. Like, who can
Yeah.
actually use
Well,
that?
actually, all of our hangars are leased. So
Well, great.
the hangars are a great asset. Like those are the first things to go. Be honest with you, um, but we have really unique assets, and like we have an old hospital. Okay, what do we do with an old hospital?
Yeah.
It's a monster of a building, and to repurpose it is expensive. And sometimes it's more expensive to repurpose something, to retrofit something, it is just to build it brand new.
Yep.
So this is a great place for Reese to land. It gives Reese a future that's tied to a tier 1 research institution.
Hmm.
It gives Texas Tech University the ability to grow their research and to become higher than a tier 1 research university. And that unlocks a lot of things for them, a lot of future opportunities. So really, it's a great marriage.
The ecosystem that you've built there is really neat. And I'm just trying to put my business owner hat on it and think of other ways, other ecosystems. But so much of what you've created, there's connections to universities for job, training and education and building the workforce that you need specific to your industry. There is this business park of similar industries up and down the supply chain, vertically integrating. They're all there in one place. So they work together. They can collaborate together. They can have, more informed conversations with each other. And then the research aspect of that is it's very like leading edge of like, what's the next thing? And, you can go to Silicon Valley, but there's different versions of that. Not everything is a software, coding issue to solve. There's a lot of other industries that need different things, that need different support. And so creating that ecosystem that you guys have built is really cool because the flywheel is turning.
Yeah.
And there's so much momentum behind that now that I'm just trying to put my business owner hat of like, what is that? The listeners right now, like when you're listening to that, think of your industry. Think of how your industry interacts with the government. What are the laws? What are the legislations? How can you become a part of that to benefit your business? How can you have conversations with, your elected officials that are helping form that policy? If you're looking to grow the workforce, like what education vehicles, whether it's a university, a trade school, a community college, a high school, how can you lean into that and develop relationships to build the future workforce that cares, that knows how, and that is going to improve your local community, and then just building that ecosystem of other vendors and suppliers, whether it's a manufacturer of parts that you use regularly, or if you're business to business, like getting next to the business that you're selling and figuring out how to make a better product. That's just like a fascinating mental exercise to go through that, you guys have obviously done over decades, but you started out scrappy and we just got to make some money.
Yeah.
We can get as strategic as we want down the road whenever we can put food on our table, and then we can get strategic. And that's important. People have to do that.
Yeah. And it wasn't like it. So the difference is, it wasn't like we decided to start a business and we didn't have direction, or we didn't have the tools we needed to figure out what we were going to be and how we were going to grow it. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like we had a business plan, right? It was the federal government saying, you will take this property, and the state saying, oh, we'll just create this other entity and they will take this property. And so we had it kind of thrown at us. And I think that's obviously probably not the optimum way to start a business, right? But it's a great way to survive and learn what you can and can't do. And yeah, we started out very scrappy. We had nothing, and we grew out of nothing.
Yeah, and I think that's like an important realization is you guys were opportunistic, right? Like this once in a generation opportunity in, just outside of Lubbock is this decommissioning base. Like there's opportunity there. And, your board had the foresight and confidence and tenacity to say, okay, there's an opportunity here. We just need to figure out how to make the best of it. How can we, impact our community in as big a way as possible that's helpful, that makes us better decades down the road. And then you just go figure out how to do it. And I think, a lot of times in business, it is like, you might be married to this one idea, this one way that you want to do business, and the world changes.
Yeah.
COVID happens.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we're onshoring all of these things. Like businesses change. And you need to be, as a business owner and business leader, like you need to be able to change with the times and take the opportunities that come and present it to you and think strategically like you guys have of like, okay, I don't know how to do this, but let's go talk to South Plains. Let's go talk to tech and figure out how.
Yeah.
And that's business. That's problem solving.
And I think we shouldn't be afraid to say, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I think we should recognize our limits and our abilities. And so reaching out to people and asking for help and just asking for information and asking for their lessons and what they would do, what they wouldn't do, how they would do things. I think that's all good information to have. So, we didn't know what we were doing a lot of the time. And I don't have a problem picking up the phone and just saying, I don't know what I'm doing here. Can you help me out? And, if we're not learning that, then, we're not moving. And there's nothing more certain in the world than that things will change.
Yeah.
That's absolute certainty. And just in the 10 years I've been at Reese, things have changed dramatically. Like I look at where I started 10 years ago and where we are today, and I just am amazed. My mind is blown where we're headed tomorrow from where we are right now. And if you would have asked me last summer what the future of Reese was, what we are doing right now would not have been my answer. And so sometimes, things happen for you or to you, and that's okay. Maybe lean into them and go with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think of the college graduates right now who feel like that their next employer expects them to have every answer and know everything. And no one expects that.
Mm.
And in fact, if you act like you know everything, people don't trust you.
Right.
And so I love your spirit in that of like, things change. You're not going to know everything, and you shouldn't, but continuing to pursue what's next, what's the opportunity, how can we best prepare ourselves to meet that opportunity when it arises. That's business 101. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay.
Sure is.
I think we're ready for a fire round.
Oh, okay.
Are you ready?
No.
Well, here we go. Ready or not.
Okay.
All right. What's your favorite movie?
Okay. So I knew you were going to ask this question, and I'm going to say this. I don't know that I have a favorite movie, but I will say if I'm flipping through the channels and certain movies come on, I'll stop and watch them every time. I don't care if I saw it yesterday. And that would be Godfather.
Godfather.
Oh, that's a great movie.
Dang, I did not expect that. Okay.
I love The Godfather.
Yeah.
Okay.
Classic.
If Godfather's on TV, I'm watching it.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen it a million times, all of them. Okay. Caddyshack.
Great.
If Caddyshack's on TV, I'm going to watch it.
Yeah.
I like some of those classic 80s movies are really, really good. I mean, I grew up in the 80s, so I really like them.
Those two are complete opposite movies.
Yes.
Okay.
That's because I like a lot of things. That's why when you said, what's your favorite movie? It's like, I can't say I have a favorite movie, but I love a lot of different genre.
Okay. Those are complete opposites. All right. Next, what's your favorite book?
Oh, see, again, with the favorite. I love to learn. So I love books that teach me something.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we learn things that are scary that we don't want to know about, right? And I also, if I'm traveling and I just pick up something lighthearted that I want to read on the airplane, I like those too. Again, I don't know that I have a favorite book. There's some books that I think about a lot that are interesting to me. There's one called Thinking Fast and Slow,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Did you read that?
Yeah.
It's like a textbook.
The different parts of your brain that process differently.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think about that all the time. And I think about using that other parts of my brain
Yeah.
that we don't normally use. So I really like that book. There's some historical fiction books that I like. I just finished one called Precipice, which is really interesting, and it takes place in England, and it's about World War II
Okay.
and historical fiction.
Yeah.
So
My wife likes those like
yeah,
World War II historical
Yeah.
fiction. Yeah, she loves those. Okay.
Yeah.
Precipice. I'll have to turn around to that one.
yeah. And I'm reading right now called Secret Empires, and it's not fiction, it's nonfiction, and it came out some years ago, but it's about all of the secret empires that our elected officials, presidents, people in very high political power
Yeah.
have created through through what they can do in their positions and how they've enriched their families.
Yeah, we're talking conspiracy
And
theories
friends.
right now.
Not even theories.
This is right up my alley. I
Not
like
even
this.
theories. Like I guess, I mean, I think the author is pretty well. Peter Schweitzer is his name. I think
Okay.
he's pretty well known for
Yeah, I've heard him.
for unearthing that kind of stuff. And so I don't
Great.
know if it's conspiracy
So,
theory.
Rothschilds,
Oh, right-
Vanderbilts.
Right now, I'm reading about the Bidens
Oh,
and
yes.
what's his name? The Bidens and the Obamas
Uh-huh.
and Mitchell. What was his name? Who was our senator? Not our senator.
Oh my goodness, the old guy.
Yeah. Why am I blanking out on
I'm
that?
blanking.
Yes.
He did that a lot in the last
Yeah,
year.
him and his wife.
Oh man.
Oh my God, the connections, the connections to Ukraine, the connections to China.
All right, I'm in. I'll check that one out.
You got to read it. So I like stuff like that. I don't know if I should, we know things like that happen, right?
Yeah.
But to actually read about how they happen and to know that what you think you know is real, that's sometimes disturbing, but I like that stuff.
Okay. Secret empires.
Secret empires.
Okay, and then this question. What is a common piece of business advice in and around your industry that you don't necessarily agree with?
Okay, so I'm basically in a real estate industry,
Uh-huh.
but a little different, but
Right.
generally in real estate. I don't agree with the type of relationships that we have with people. I don't agree that transactions are linear.
Mhm.
People are in real estate always like, close the deal. That's all they're worried about, right? Close the deal. I don't believe in that. And I do believe in making money. So you do have to close the deal, but not in that way. And I think we lose the human side of a relationship when we're fully focused on closing a deal and just making sure we've tied in that money. And like I said, I have to make money like everybody else. I don't always think that a deal should happen just because of the money. We turn down people. Matter of fact, I turn down more than what we have on our space. We turn down a lot of people. So it's not always about closing the deal.
Yeah, sometimes it's about that strategic fit.
Yeah.
And that's great. Like that's the patience that you've had at the technology center that has now created this ecosystem that is invaluable. And that entire complex is going to be worth something completely different, invaluable to our local community from having the patience to develop a relationship and pick the right strategic partners.
Absolutely.
That's great. All right. How can people get in touch with you? How can people do business with you?
I'm around, so they can, my website has my phone number on there.
What's your website?
ReeseCenter.com.
ReeseCenter.com.
Yes. And we also have a huge presence on, like I mentioned, LoopNet and CoStar. My cell phone number is all over the internet. So if you can't reach me, it's because you're not trying really hard. I'm readily around and available. And if you want to drive into Reese and drive down the main boulevard and walk into that 3-story building and go up to the second floor, I'm there.
Awesome.
And if I'm there, come in and have a cup of coffee and we can talk about Reese.
Yeah. I want a tour.
Oh, 100%.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being a guest. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
All right. If you enjoyed that episode, if you got something out of that episode, go ahead and click subscribe in the bottom right-hand corner and come back for the next one because there's more where that came from. Thank you, and we'll see you on the next one.